This is the D class, and we're talking about Inferno in the review. The question was, why is fraud worse than everything else? Because fraud is something that only humans can do. Fraud is not, is worse than violence because it may incorporate violence, but fraud is an element of betrayal. Only people can do that. Animals can't do that. That's why this is called the sins of bestiality, meaning violence, animal-like violence. Because animals are violent, but they don't betray you. They don't promise you something and then give in to it. Although when you're a dog, when you try to take food away from your dog, man's best friend, he would give his life for you, he'll bite your hand off. You know that'll happen. So what happened to that man's best friend thing? Why are you betraying me? I guess he thinks you're betraying him. You're trying to take his food away. But he's not bad or good for that. That's just being a dog. And that's why this is last. Why is incontinence the least of the three? Least severe of the three?
It's the least thought out or planned. It's just something, it only really affects you.
Because you think it's not hurting other people because it's just like something that it's like an impulse.
Yes. You can't help it. You can't control it. You lack self-control. That's what incontinence literally means. And so that is punished less severely than people who can control their violence and choose not to. They want to get that out, and they want to hurt people directly. This hurts people indirectly. Motives, it's the motive behind it. Your motive isn't to hurt somebody, but it does. Here the motive is to hurt somebody. Here the motive is to hurt somebody and betray him at the same time. So that's what we mean by rationale. There may be some other things you could explain in it, but you would need to explain those big ideas. In number 13, you would need to pick out a handful, 5, 6, there are 24 of them, and explain why a sin is punished in a particular way. Like think about hoarders and spendthrifts. Why are they pushing that big ball around? Why can you not distinguish one from another? And that's because of the nature of their sin. They're doing in hell what they did on earth. It just looks differently in hell. The lustful are doing in hell what they did on earth. They're being carried away by their emotions. Well, okay, then you will be carried away forever. Now, interesting with the what's that first thing? The foyer, the vestibule. They're doing the opposite of what they did on earth. So some cases it's not the same, but it's the opposite. They're going after something. And on earth, they didn't go after anything. They were just comfortable just isolating and not making commitments or those kinds of things. So in hell, they are forced to chase something and forever. So in some cases, they're doing the same thing they did on earth. In some cases, doing the opposite of what they did on earth. Either way, the punishment reveals something about the sin. Okay, could you handle that?
Why is it at the top?
The vestibule? That's another one too that you could put under rationale, but why? Why is it at the top? Why is it the first place you go? I don't think you're really engaged yet. I think you can answer this. I know you know the answer. You thought of that. Why is
Not really that big of a sin.
Making a decision won't hurt anybody. It's just, it won't be good. It basically won't go anywhere.
Well, if you're hurting and I ignore you, because it's not something I do. I don't commit myself to anything, and I walk right by you. You see, I'm contributing to the hurt that you are. I'm not coming to you and helping you. I know what you're saying, but it does. All of these sins do hurt other people. Maybe this less. I'm less guilty for ignoring you than if I caused it. Whatever pain you were going through. There's even one more thing you can say about that. Why are they the first? That was Caroline's question, because they're not bad enough for hell and they're not good enough for heaven. They don't even deserve to be in hell. They don't even want them in hell. So they're in like the foyer of hell, the vestibule of hell. They're not even really forever stuck, not in, not out, just in between. So that's another reason why the vestibule is first, why those sins are first, because they're kind of pathetic people that never tried, never went for anything. Any other questions about that? And then finally for Inferno as an allegory, you need to be able to define it. Do you really? Can someone give me a really good definition? Yes.
Inferno is an allegory about
Well, first define allegory.
Yes, allegory is a story that has a hidden or deeper meaning that the story is meant to convey.
Before you go there, every story that's really good has a hidden and has a deeper meaning. So it's got to be a little more than that.
The story was made to tell another story.
That's closer. It tells two stories.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Gotcha.
And what are those two stories? How can we describe those two stories?
So in Dante's Inferno.
Literal and figurative. Very good. Did you hear that? Allegories tell two stories simultaneously. One is literally doing something. The other, all those things stand for other things. So that is a really good answer. Now, go back to Andrew. Can you explain how, briefly, the
Yes.
Inferno is a story like that?
So it's a story for like literally about a guy named Dante going to hell and having a little adventure time, but it's figuratively about the importance and meaning and severity of sin.
I like that answer, and including Dante's sin, but I like that answer. He is all of us. Dante represents all of us. Next year you'll read Pilgrim's Progress. You know what the main character's name is? Anybody know what the main character's name of Pilgrim's Progress? It's Christian. Duh, guess what that book's about? You know, I think that would be a hard, do you know anybody by that name? I think it'd be a hard name. Mr. Christian's the last name. I think it'd be a hard name to live up to. But I like the name. And in this case, the name is allegorical. He is a Christian, and his name is Christian. And his wife might be Hope. His wife's name is Hope. You know, you can see how that works. Right. Anything else about that? I mean, that's not much. That's not 2 minutes. You got to go 2 minutes to 3 minutes. And remember, I'm looking for detail. So 14, and it depends on how I ask the question, but 14 is a lot like, in a sense, like 12. You know, like, well, why does he have to go through hell? And why does he? Why does he have to go through hell in this allegory to see God? You don't have to go to hell to see God. But in this book you do. Why? Why does he have to go to hell to see God? Isn't that going in the opposite direction? God's up there, and he's going down there. Why does he have to go to hell in order to get to God?
He can't climb up the mountain because the lion, the leopard, and the wolf are blocking him.
And what are they representing?
They're his sins.
And that's at the part of the allegory, yeah.
So he has to figure out his sins.
Yes, that's a good answer. The sins kept him out of heaven, so he's got to deal with the sins. And that's where even hell is organized by a leopard, lion. Those three sins are in hell: the leopard, the lion, and the she-wolf. So he can't directly deal with. He's got to look at them as they've been being punished. There's more you could say about that, but we'll leave it at that. Anything else that you're having issues? I can pair you with somebody. If you can use it, you can use it to do that. I never know at this point. I mean, any kind of repetition is going to help you. So if we just sat here and repeated everything we said the last couple of days, it wouldn't hurt you. So maybe I should do that, but I don't think any of us really want that. We still have tomorrow. So is there anything you don't know, anything you don't have? If you'll get your sheet out and look at it, you can probably tell me that, yeah.
Could you on the board write 3 headings of friar's tale, non-priest tale, physician's tale, and then do a brief little summary of each of them?
Okay, let me put them up there. Nuns, priest. That always always bothers me.
That's-
Did I ever
And
tell
then
you
the two
about when
S's.
my wife and I were first married, there was a bar on Spring Garden, and we'd drive by there all over and look at each other. What is Doug's Misty's Lounge? It's like both were possessive. You know, Doug's
Actually,
Misty's.
Doug's and Misty's. But it's Doug's Misty's.
He's claiming Misty, but it's Misty's bar. I
Thank
don't
you.
like that.
I never could figure it out either. So Nun's Priest's Tale.
And then there was Friar's Tale.
Okay, I just remembered this one.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah, let me get Friars, and then you can. I hear the three tales. What was your question?
Why do the people of hell not want
Because he's
Human.
Because he didn't belong. And
Because he's alive and he's still figuring out his sins.
that's right. They didn't want. They were insulted or angry by this human coming down there. I don't know why. Okay, now what was the rest of your question about the?
Could you do brief little like sentence summaries for what each of them like doing?
Well, let's start with the moral. What was the moral of this one?
What was it
Be
about?
wary of flatterers.
I'll just
That's
put
what-
flattery. What was the moral of this one?
Something about say your sins before like somebody gets hurt, something like that.
Okay, sins will find you out. That's kind of the way they put it. What does that mean? You'll eventually get in trouble about your sins. You're not gonna get away with it forever. And Friar's Tale?
That's oh gosh, what is that one? It's like
Oh, it's the thing, the little saying where it's like da 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 da, and then it says it backwards.
it's like listen.
The Lord's Prayer? Well, the Lord's Prayer is the answer. The last part, deliver us from evil, deliver us from the evil one. That
Because
was,
Satan's trying to.
yeah, so pray for protection from the devil. All right, and
I think that kind of helps you remember them.
all right, so those are the, but that, we said yesterday, that is not the most important thing in the nun's priesthood.
That
That,
was about Chanticleer.
yeah, this is about Chanticleer and his Perlote and the fox, and they talk about predestination, they talk a lot about dreams, and it's just at the very end, literally just the last page, they talk about flattery. So that really isn't what the whole, if you had to look at it as a whole, what do you think that the main thing going on in the nun's priesthood? Do you have an answer to that?
Well, I have a question. But it's about something. It's about Peace Child.
Okay, let's come back to that, all right? So what is that about? What is, the moral is flattery. Don't do it. Don't be fooled. But what if you had to say what that was about? Like, what's really the thing about?
Take dreams seriously.
Well, even that, it definitely, and I'll put that up here. Even that's up here. I mean, even that, dreams. But it is a,
Oh, it's the fake epic story.
right, it really what the whole purpose of it is to make fun of epic poetry. So you may not care about epic poetry, you do because you're scholars, but the average person wouldn't have cared about it. In that day they might have, but it's really for entertainment value. It's fun to read. That seems to be the main purpose. We laugh at the fact that they're chickens and they're pretending to be, the author's presenting them as ladies and lords, and all that they read and they talk.
Something like, it kind of reads like a child's story.
And then at one point, it even deteriorates if you want to, and it sounds like, Nellie chased Fido and is like a child's book. So all of that's for fun. It's basically for fun. But it does have a moral because he was supposed to, but it was all supposed to be entertaining. Like you watch a sitcom, you know, if you ever do that, you listen to a comic, you're just there for the laughs. You're not trying to discover anything really serious. And that the nun's priest's tale delivers. What's the physician's tale? This is true. My question there is, why did he spend so much time talking about that girl? He spent a lot of time talking about the girl and how innocent she was and how perfect she was. Why does he do that? What's the point of that?
Oh, because
She didn't
is it kind of
deserve
like
to die.
Jesus and then they gave to sacrifice her or whatever, like kill her?
Well, I mean, when she's morally perfect, you have to think of Jesus. Yeah.
I was talking about something in Judges.
Oh, sorry, was me.
What?
I was talking about something in Judges.
Yeah, the Japheth,
It also contrasts
Jephthah
with God.
in the book of Judges. Somebody made a good point. He was really what he was doing is he has this really, really good girl and this really, really bad guy, and you put those in the same story. It's pretty entertaining, isn't it? Who's going to win that? The really, really bad guy, the really, really good girl. The good girl dies, the bad guy dies. It's just really interesting. So I think that's an element of that. He makes it entertaining. You know, when you see, we talked about Beowulf. You got to have bad villains in order for the hero to look good, right? You wouldn't want your hero beaten up by a kindergartner. That's not very heroic. He's got to beat up Grendel. He's got to beat up a dragon. So really, really good protagonist, the girl. Really, really bad antagonist, the judge. And it makes for a pretty entertaining story. And finally, what is the purpose of the friar's tale? The purpose. Yeah.
To say how so gosh darn corrupt those guys are.
What guys? And you're right.
Yeah.
And how bad are they?
Real bad.
How bad?
Like five
Worse than
devil
Satan,
bad.
worse than Satan.
That's exactly, and that's the fun of the story, is that he turns out to be worse than the devil himself. You get these scenes where okay, devil, let me show you what to do. I'm going to show you how to cheat a widow. And that's very clever, and it's very entertaining. So the entertainment of these equals the moral lesson. Probably the moral lesson is not as important in it as just the entertainment value. They're really entertaining and clever. So there are a lot of things you can say about that.
What was the entertainment strategy in the Friars tale?
The fact that he's making the Sumner look so bad in such an exaggerated way that the friar, the Sumner is worse than the devil himself. Because he hates Sumners. And you can imagine hating one group of people so much that they're worse than the devil. Well, that's what people do, actually, unfortunately. What? You had a question.
So for Peace Child, could we make like a list of the different, there was like the Tui Solnai man, which I think that was the pig one, or the slaughter thing. But
I
can
don't
we make a
remember how to
list?
spell any of these, so I'm gonna have to look them up.
Just so, cause I forgot some of them.
Oh no, I switched them up. I know my
Oh, I should have done this before. Some of you still owe me one of these. I don't remember who it is. They're just a handful of people. So I just want to make sure if you have one of these.
I have a question. Have you seen any church and histories recently around here? Because
I can't say that I've seen it recently.
Because middle of the quarter, I had mine in my locker, but then someone borrowed it without asking, and how much it's gone, and Dr. Thomas made me pay for it, so.
Well, please return this. They're going to charge you, and I'm going to give them. And if you say you've turned it in, I'll probably trust you, but I do trust you enough to tell me if it's true that you turned it in. I've got numbers, and I've lived through all of them. All right, so I'm going to list 3 things here. I gotta have to figure out how to spell it.
I think
Maybe.
the first one's like
Yep. This is
T-U-W-I.
the old-fashioned way
Yes,
to do it.
You said that so fast. Starts with heaven.
Well, I'll put 2 that I do know.
Justice for Eliza. Justice for
This is eternal life, and I don't know how to spell it, so I'm gonna. Yeah.
Inferno or something.
Yes, if you can tell me how to spell it, I'll be,
Gefamason.
one more time.
Gefamason. It's like 2 words.
Say it again.
Gefam.
If on the sun.
And then AS.
Sony?
Yeah.
You remember what the Tui Asani Mine?
That's like founding for the slaughter.
Yeah, fattening with friendship to prepare for the slaughter.
Yeah, but
Actually,
that's not the translation.
It's the same thing.
Sorry.
It's pretty much the same thing.
That's what it means, but it's
pretty much. But is it exactly the same?
No, but does it look like smart?
Do you know how to spell that one? What is it?
All right, and I don't expect you to remember if you can say it, that's good, if you're oral, or you can write it, you can. The three that we focused on were, these are redemptive analogies. The Ramon is, I think it's R-A, maybe R-E, but it's the eternal life.
Oh, that's like the lizard in the.
Yeah, which was, of course, a myth.
What was that like? The lizard's gonna come back one day to kill the bird. The bird.
I hardly remember
It
what
was
it
something
was,
like that.
yeah. But
Because the bird dies usually, but the lizard.
the point is, they understood the idea of regeneration, even in this terrible culture. They understood that. And then touching the stench, remember that was the idea of humiliation, which leads to exaltation. Humiliation leads to Ramon. Somehow, if you can humiliate yourself so much, in their words, the universe would be kind to you and would give you this.
Oh, there's the wand was find.
And yeah, good.
Yeah.
It sounds like Wayne's.
Gotta be
It looks like
Wayne's.
Wayne's. It's one.
Believe it or not,
I think it's oneness.
Yeah.
Like oneness.
Yes, yes.
And this is the, I don't know what the parallel would be. The Wayne's bond is, you humiliate yourself and that you owe somebody. You've humiliated
Until
them.
the Ramon comes, then it's over.
Okay, so maybe Wayne's bond is a good example of Gefamason. It's another way of humiliating, but those are example of course, Peace Child, are redemptive analogies. And I think an interesting point about the Sawis, they were very religious. Not in a formal sense, but they believed in spirits. They believed in what we call superstitions. And that's a religion. And even no religion is a religion. People have made no religion a religion. Like atheists, that's their religion. It's what they kind of look up to, they worship, they believe. What is a religion? Religion is man-made, by the way. Christianity, we like not to call it religion because it's God revealed. It's God coming to us. Religion is what we make in order to try to get to God, and anything we try to make is not going to work. But anyway, they have religion in there, and he had to figure out what it was and how it connected or contrasted with Christianity. Anything else?
Can you go over the nationalities and
Yep. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we have 25, 5, 10, 15 minutes. So nationality. This is question number 11. Is that right? I remember the 5 officers, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and England. There were 5 of them, but they were from 4 different countries fighting together on the same side. They didn't get along always. So that was an example of Shakespeare including that in his play. We didn't read the last act, but Henry just talking to Catherine. They're 2 different countries, I think 2 different ages. I think she's pretty young, he's a lot older. But they're the same class, a princess and a king. They belong together. That would be another kind of interaction. The French Dauphin sending the tennis ball, that was an indirect interaction with Henry. Montjoy interacting with Henry. I like the ones with the classes. So we have Henry interacting with his men, dressed as a peasant or as a regular soldier. I mean, those are just some that come to mind. interactions between people. Henry talking to the mayor of Harfleur and threatening atrocity.
So would these be like topics, like could we pull this out of the jar and then be like,
Well, it is a topic. It's in national and class interactions. I don't know how I would word it, but I think on the test I asked you to give examples in the book of that. That you have these different classes interacting with each other. The British are extremely class conscious. They still are. We've never had lords and ladies in America. We've never had counts and barons. So they grew up for thousands of years with that, and they still, I think, are very class conscious. You don't marry below your class or above your class, and Americans, that's distasteful. Any other questions? You got about 10 minutes. Anything you need to do with this? You can sign your books if you figured out that you have time to do that.
So Montjoy delivering a message.
Yeah, he interacts with Montjoy 2 or 3 times. He's always coming asking for the same thing. You know, he says, "What is the money? How much money are we gonna? You know, we're gonna pay you. You're gonna have. How does the hostage work?
oh yeah, aren't they?
We pay you or you pay us. The hostage pays money to get out of captivity. So it's that we've come to, because they think we're going to beat you. Just go ahead and let's pay it to them now, and we'll get this over with. So, yeah, you were going to say something.
There's also, I think, with the thing you could highlight with Montjoy is how he's never sees him as like, Frenchman. Because he's the messenger, is always extremely respectful
Yeah,
to him. And
right. They talk the same language. He represents the nobility of France. Well, I'm right here. If you have any other question, come right up here. You've got 10 minutes. Use it wisely, and I'll post this so you can look at it again.